All right, let's go, let's go, let's go. Welcome back to another episode of Two Plant-Based Brothers. I am William the teacher, and this is my brother,
Daniel the one beard on the trail.
Beard on the Trail. And you guys will not know what we're talking about looking at our baseball hats today.
We're ready for the season, apparently. I did.
But it is now February, and yes, you can smell it, man. Baseball is coming, it's on the way. There's really only one major event before
One
pitchers and
only.
catchers report, and that's kind of what we're going to talk about today, Daniel.
That's right. We are going to talk about a totally different sport unrelated to baseball.
100%. And but we are going to talk about like the biggest party day of the year. I think
Yep.
in America, in the United States of America, 4th of July is still pretty big, I think.
Yep. Yep.
But I don't think anything really compares to the Super Bowl.
I would
Um,
agree. I think it's a one-time event, huge from a party perspective. Maybe there's no fireworks, I guess. Big difference.
yeah, so people don't blow their hands off usually with fireworks, which is a great thing. Maybe fewer emergency room visits and things like that. But
Probably.
the one thing before we dive into Super Bowl is to say Happy February, and it could be February if you want it to be. It can be,
Yeah,
but don't forget you can always try something new, and that's it. So let's go kind of on a tour, Daniel, about
let's do
Super
it.
Bowls of the past and what they used to be. So like in your earliest memory, what do you kind of remember about a Super Bowl party?
It won't be grandma's because I know you might chime in on that because you've mentioned that before. She used to host a Super Bowl party. I don't remember any of those. I don't remember what was the last year she hosted or threw one where I was there or had been part of. But my early memories as a young, maybe preteen, I guess, would be with Dad's good friend Mark Jones. He would always host a Super Bowl party every year, and it felt like every year it got bigger and bigger. Mark was a huge Rams fan, and his house was decorated with a bunch of memorabilia and this like later in his life, especially. So my memories are those, and it usually involved a lot of really probably processed foods, chips, dips, you name it. I think that was it. Wings, chips, dips, and wings, I guess, and then a lot of alcohol. I remember there was times where Mark himself would pass out sitting on the couch during the game.
Yeah, I think for me, yeah, definitely grandma's was the earliest, right? And even then, even when she was older and moved to Hemet, I remember going over there, and squares were a big deal,
Yeah.
and getting the squares and things like that. But it was Mark Jones. Definitely, I remember going to those Super Bowl parties, and then I'd say recently, but when was the Rams Patriots Super Bowl?
That would have been 20, gosh, maybe 18, 20. Like it was before the Rams had won. I don't remember. And they lost. I remember that. And Todd Gurley was still with them. I remember. Because I,
Yeah,
I added Gurley on Instagram that morning asking him what he ate for breakfast.
really.
He didn't DM me back or anything, but
That's a shocking surprise. I mean, just really shocking. But I remember that I did sign up. I was still drinking at the time, but it I did volunteer to be the designated driver for our oldest brother. And we
Mm,
drove up to Mark's, and I remember it's like raining, but he had at this one, he had the taco people come out, right?
hmm.
And they were making fresh carne asada tacos, and I was still, of course, eating meat. And I probably had 12 or 13 tacos. And
Jeez.
then, of course, your range of chips and dips and booze and wings and cocktail weenies probably still going in these
Yeah.
ones, as we talked about in our Christmas episode. But some really, really good parties and really good time. And then my favorite, actually, as an adult, was to go over to my friend Kitten's garage.
Hmm.
Kitten's garage was a great place, and may she rest in peace. Rest in peace, Kitten. We miss you. But I mean, that's where I chose to have my 40th birthday party, 40s for
Yeah.
40,
40s for
which was
40s.
rather diabolical.
Was it? I thought it was Edward 40's hands. Did I make that one
Edward
up?
40 hands, no, but it was 40s for 40 in 40. So you had to finish your 40 in 40 minutes, right?
Oh, I did that totally wrong. I
Yeah.
thought I had to finish two 40s because I had one per hand.
Yeah, we were going to do Edward 40 hands, but I don't think we taped our hands, so it didn't really work. But Kitten's Garage was always known, and people would just bring food. And I tell you, like I've mentioned on the show a lot, that I don't miss eating meat or anything, but there were these egg rolls that Brian Vitale used to bring that were from this place on El Cajon Boulevard called A Chow. So if you are a meat eater and you want to, I don't know why you're watching the show, but you can. Everyone's welcome, right? And if you love that pork, um, greasy egg roll, I could eat 100 of those back at a Super Bowl party at Kitten's Garage, and I don't know, I didn't share well with others. I mean, but
No.
yeah, those were the really great times. And so traditionally, yeah, we talked about this. You're going to have lots of different not healthy options for food,
Hmm.
but you don't have to do everything that way, you know? And
No.
so in our lives, in our journeys, right, we've changed quite a bit. So going back and looking at those Super Bowl parties at Kitten's house have definitely changed for me. Going to a party is probably not going to happen,
Yeah. Yeah.
honestly. And how
So,
about you? What is your Super Bowl party kind of evolved into or devolved into your Super Bowl
yeah.
day?
Yeah, no, in my adulthood, when I started drinking, we I would host my friends over, and we called it Slosh Bowl. That's what we did, and we made Jello shots. It was primarily revolved around alcohol and chips and
Yeah,
dip and wings. We would order a bunch of wings, and then we'd also get like pizza and see the spiciest pizza we could eat. Like, can how many jalapenos can we eat on a slice of pizza? So we had a lot of like spicy food and drinking competition.
yeah,
That has gone away a lot over probably the last few years. With kids, it's usually just us watching the game at home. We don't go out party wise and really just kind of relax. And I've made the fun goal of making, I guess, like that junk food vegan or plant-based junk food because it's my day, I think, to pig out. I still
yeah.
kind of use it as that day. I still do that. We'll see about the upcoming weekend, but I do plan on making a vegan nacho cheese. I get that from Rainbow Plant Life. We've shouted it out many times. It's made from cashews. And it's so freaking delicious that I'll put it on a bunch of chips and just eat that all day long with my own vegan nachos. And I'll do like a lentil ground beef of sorts, kind of make that up and kind of taco meat of sorts. And then maybe I used to do this buffalo tofu almost like wings, but just like buffalo tofu squares or cubes, which are so good, and make it with my vegan ranch, and it's delicious. The biggest thing that has changed, and I shared this with William just before we started, is I don't remember exactly when my last drink was, but it was around this time of year. And so I know I had a beer or two last Super Bowl. And so I've kind of used Super Bowl as my sobriety date for whatever reason. That's kind of just what I earmarked as it. So I'm coming up on a year of sobriety, and this year I don't plan on drinking, and plan on still stuffing my face with food somehow.
Yeah.
Ooh, I get
I
the little
wonder if that
claps on
hand
Zoom.
clap emoji shows up in the video, but we'll see.
We'll find out.
I don't know why I've never used that before. In we have meetings and everything. I love hitting those thumbs up or heart emojis and different things to let people know I'm listening and I like what you said, you know. But congratulations, first of all, making it, a year
Thank you.
without any booze. It's a big deal. It's a big change. And
Yeah.
I think if you had asked, 40-year-old William or 30-year-old Daniel about, that prospect, I don't think we either one of us may have seen that in our future.
No
Um,
way. No way.
about
I
having
just
a
never
Super
thought of
Bowl without having any drinks, or for meat for that matter. I
it.
don't
Yeah.
know. I mean, going way back, it's possible. But yeah, I'm coming up on 5 years of I already passed 5 years sobriety, and I'm coming up on 5 years of vegetarian slash 98% plant-based. So things
Hmm.
have changed. And I just made that nacho cheese. Maybe not exactly. Once again, you can go back to watch our previous videos about how I don't really like to follow recipes. But
Yeah.
I just made that cashew nacho cheese last week or the week before. And I didn't make your exact vegan ranch last night, but I did
Mhm.
make um, a dressing of sorts, right?
Okay.
And with cashews and a little bit of vinegar and some water
Hmm.
and dill, parsley, and cilantro in there. So
Oh,
it,
good.
it it's
Sounds
actually
good.
it's okay. I think I needed maybe a little bit something else. I don't know what
Did
I'm
you
missing.
say vinegar? Did you add the vinegar or no?
Yeah, I did put some
Okay.
vinegar in there.
Okay. Lemon?
No, no, the vinegar I thought
Lime.
would have the acid. So
Yeah, you could try some lime, especially with the cilantro. It could be good.
yeah. So the whole point of making
Sorry.
that, Daniel, was not for Super Bowl, and I know that's what we're talking about, but it's for Raw Wednesday. And I'm going to start this week. Raw Wednesdays, challenge is on, and we'll probably make a whole video about that, but we'll see how it goes. But that way,
Cool.
I'll have something for my vegetables, right?
Right.
Because
Nice.
I can't eat beans basically. I don't know what the heck I'm going to eat besides salad on Raw Wednesday, but it's going to be fun to play around and see what we can get done and what I could
Hmm.
eat without, heating things up. But I
Hmm.
love mentioned before, like making plant-based nachos, making with the nacho cheese, beans. I think that's pretty, not say ingenious of you, but the lentils as the meat
Yeah.
substitute is a really good idea
Yeah.
to give it that kind of, you know, ground beef feel kind of thing. But I
Hmm.
just love a good, plant-based chorizo,
Yeah.
which
That
is
works
store
too.
bought. And like, once again, we're not talking about healthy things. But also in the past, I've made like plant-based meatballs or something like that
Hmm.
to
I
kind of give
did.
it this feel.
I was gonna say I did make my own plant-based chorizo a couple weeks ago, and I found just a recipe online, and I used walnut or pecans. It came out really tasty. Like it was really
Really?
delicious. Yeah, it certainly wasn't the same texture as the store-bought soy riso. Like I didn't get it into ground. It came too pasty, which probably is how I blended it up. I think I need a food processor versus Vitamix, but
Mhm.
it was so flavorful. I'll share with you the recipe.
Definitely do it. And the truth is I've tried that before. I think it was walnuts though I used.
That's
And
what
this
it
was
called for, but it said you could use pecans. I just
yeah,
had a
this is
bunch of
probably,
pecans.
5 years ago when I started this adventure of, trying out different things and trying to replicate meat instead
Hmm.
of trying to find just good food, right? Just finding ways to make things and buying a lot of Beyond Burger meats and
Hmm.
trying to make that happen in different ways to make a faux cream cheese or something like that.
Hmm.
But I think just making my weekly tofu with the right spices, it's not chorizo per se, but it's
Hmm.
pretty close and
Good.
pretty
Yeah.
good. And we had that at my 50th birthday party, which was a big contrast between my 50th birthday party and my 40th birthday party.
Yeah.
When you and I catered for everybody, and the
Yep.
rule basically was no meat and no booze for my birthday.
Yeah.
And I think everyone still had a great time, and it was wonderful.
Yeah.
But you can do whatever you want. We don't preach. But Super Bowl challenge is to try to incorporate some non-meat into this.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can, just give it a try, give it a shot. See if you can have your favorite junk foods without the dead animal. Give it a
Yeah.
shot. See what happens. So Daniel, I remember this. We had a previous episode with our oldest brother, and I believe you mentioned that you were a diehard New England Patriots fan. Is that
Yeah.
true?
I am formally known as a diehard Patriot fan. Yes.
So you're saying that's off the table. I believe you said once the Rams came back to Los Angeles, you forgot all about. Uh,
That is correct. Yeah, it was easy to forget when the Rams came back. I don't miss the Patriot fan, but when it was as a teenager, right? You probably remember coming home for Christmas, Thanksgiving. I probably had my Patriots jersey on a lot. back in those days during football season and through high school. I was a Patriots fan and then went to Chargers and everything. So happy that the Patriots made it. That's cool. But I'm actually rooting for the Seahawks.
Really? That's very
Yes.
interesting. And one more thing about your former fandom. Didn't our oldest brother actually fly you out to Boston to take you
I
to
believe I paid
Foxborough?
my own way, but yes, he
Oh,
did.
he didn't pay for that. Oh, okay.
You imagine him paying a dime for that?
I
No
thought he's
way.
the best big brother ever. I'll never, that's
That
why I didn't even try. I never even tried, Daniel. I'm not going to compete with that. I'm not flying this kid to Foxborough, or
But
you can't.
best, totally the best, still very much the best gesture in so many ways because he did chaperone me. Like I was 16, I think, at the
Yeah.
time, or I just turned 16, maybe 17. And yeah, no, I wanted to see a Patriots game before they tore down Foxborough. This was before Gillette Stadium was built. I don't know why I wanted to see Foxborough, stadium. It was aluminum seats, right? Like it wasn't like anything special.
And
They were
this wasn't
tearing
in the
it.
summertime. This was in the dead of winter, right?
This was after my birthday. My birthday's December 29th, as you know, and the audience obviously knows because they celebrated with me a couple weeks ago, and or a few weeks ago now. And yeah, so yeah, December 30th, I think we went, or no, I think maybe it was during my birthday. Anyways, it was right end of December, and it was freezing and it was snowing. He flew with me. We caught a flight and we went out there. He took care of the hotel. I paid my portion. Pretty sure he can maybe I still owe him something. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure I paid my way. Like mom and dad gave me Christmas money, I think. And then anyways, hotel, the rent a car, like he took care of all the logistics stuff. And we went to a game and it was against the Buffalo Bills and came down to I don't know if it went to overtime or it came down to a winning field goal, which was quite exciting. And now I don't even remember whether it was the Bills that won or the Patriots won, but that was when Doug Flutie was the quarterback of the Buffalo Bills.
Wow, that's going way back there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway, so great experience. But you're
yeah,
saying for this Super Bowl, for those that don't know, the Seattle Seahawks are facing off against the New England Patriots.
yep.
Where do you know where the game is?
It is in San Francisco or Santa Clara, I believe they call it.
Okay. Very, very interesting fact there, and as some of you may, if you haven't seen our previous episodes, you may be picking up on the fact that I know nothing about the NFL currently. I used to be a diehard Rams fan, then they left. Then I became a diehard Chargers fan, then they left. And I said, hey, fool me once, you know, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And I said, I will not do this anymore. So
Nope.
I don't know, but I remember, because I have this text thread going with a bunch of friends, and
hmm
um, I just put out there. I said, when did the Patriots get good again? I thought they were horrible.
This year, the season before last, they had a horrible losing record. I want to say they had a total of 4 wins. The
Wow.
Jared Mayo, their head coach, had been fired in the offseason, I believe, and hired Mike Vrabel, who was a Patriot guy,
Okay.
played defense for the Patriots. Total culture shift. Drake Mays, I think that's his first name, is quarterback. I think his second, maybe third year, and it just had a phenomenal year. Like they played great defense and decent offense, and yeah, they've kind of steamrolled through the AFC. And even last week, it was a tough game, or the last week the AFC Championship game was a tough game against the Broncos, but the Broncos lost their starting quarterback. Bring you up to speed. So they ended up winning that game on the road, punched their ticket to the Super Bowl. On the other side of the coin was the Seahawks. It's still hard to talk about because the Rams just totally blew it in the NFC
Oh,
Championship game. Just a couple big blunders that cost them the entire game. It was a close game, but the Seahawks deserved the win. But
so as the NFL insider on this show,
apparently,
were there any like controversial calls, or
for the
something like
Rams
that
game,
in the Rams game?
there was like a holding call that was like the Seahawks' last possession. That I mean, it was a hold. Does it get called every single play? Probably not. They did call it. I watched the replay. I was upset that it happened. I was like, why are you holding in such a pivotal moment? Seahawks
Yeah.
get the first down, and then they run the clock practically down. So it basically sealed the game, that penalty. But in my opinion, it came down to the botched punt return. The returner's going back for it. He trips over his own feet, William. This is the Rams. Trips over his own feet going backwards. The ball like hits off of his shoulder. Seahawks recover it around the 10-yard line. End up scoring a touchdown. I think we lost by 4. That's
So
the
that's the
game
game. Yeah, that's the
right there.
game.
So you
It's
can tell
it's
I'm still heated about it. And at the moment, I told the kids, I said, I'm not watching the Super Bowl. Nope, we're done.
yeah,
Football
but
season's over.
yeah,
They
but to
did
all
take
the
they took me
yeah.
for my word. I will watch the Super Bowl. I like the commercials at least.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I was going to bring up for anyone who's not aware, and if you're American, I don't know how you could not be aware. But there are other reasons to watch the Super Bowl besides the football game. I think many people love the halftime performance
Yep.
or the commercials or there's other things or this many people just love to party together. It's a day of excuses, right? I can eat all this bad food, delicious, but maybe not nutritious. And then maybe hopefully you guys don't drink too much. Be smart.
Yeah.
Don't do that. But there's a lot going on. But I must know, Daniel, as our expert, what is your prediction for the Super Bowl?
I'm sure hoping the Seahawks win.
This
But
isn't hope. I
prediction,
need an NFL
prediction,
insider to give me something. Dirt.
prediction. I'm
Yeah.
gonna say the Seahawks pull it out, and I think hopefully an offensive game that makes it exciting. I think it's time for Sam Darnold to continue to shut up the naysayers. I think he's a decent darn quarterback. But honestly, I can easily see it being a defensive battle with Mike Vrabel's Patriots and then winning it like 10-7 or something.
Okay. Very good. So you heard
I'm
it here
I'm
first.
picking the Seahawks.
It could go any way, but our NFL insider is going with the Seahawks. And they've had a whole week, to travel out there. Travel isn't an issue. Time isn't an issue. If it was a short turnaround, you might give the Seahawks the advantage because they're right up the street from Santa Clara, whereas New England's got to come all the way across the country. But I did see some funny statistic where the teams, if one team is traveling east and one team's traveling west, and honestly, the Seahawks, I don't know if they're traveling east so much, but one team has to coming west. The team coming west always loses.
Yeah, really. Okay, there you go. That's a fun fact.
Yeah, but it's not like if it's in Santa Clara, I don't know. I mean, they're just coming. Seahawks are just coming south then.
They're coming south, but probably east on the lawn. Wasn't the
Southeast, yeah,
Yeah,
maybe.
southeast, but barely east, barely.
But hey, if the facts hold, we'll see. We'll talk about it next week. We'll see who the winners are. But you take the Seahawks. I believe you, and I don't care. But more than likely, I'm going to make some good dips. Eat a lot of
Yes.
chips, my kryptonite, and enjoy it with you know ice water. Can't beat it.
Nice.
Yeah.
You want to do that? Lemonade, maybe?
What's that?
Lemonade? Lemonade guy? Yeah.
I drink water or coffee. I don't really drink anything else, but I may splurge on a diet soda. Who knows?
Whoa.
Yeah, like a Coke Zero or something. I've done that. Coke Zero is not bad. Anyway, we got to go. Time's up. But thank you very much, guys. If you have a Super Bowl prediction, you only got a couple days to get it down in the comments. If you're really rooting for someone, you can. If you have a favorite snack, write it down.
Yeah.
Whatever you're going to do, let us know. Just be smart, be safe, make good decisions. You don't have to drink to have a good time, and you don't have to eat dead animals to have a good time. There's a
Nope.
lot more that you can do. All right.
Peace.